Hello, the purpose of this video is to explain how to create the floor framing for the second floor. So we have just finished specifying the floor for our ground floor, which is a concrete slab. Okay, so in this case, the concrete slab will have to be reinforced, and this portion of the slab is depressed or lower than the rest. So we identified that one and we didn't draw anything except put in some notes that would identify the reinforcement, the thickness, and the details of the slab. Okay. For the second floor, we don't have a concrete slab. We have a wood floor, and that wood floor needs to be supported, and that support will need to be created by a wood structure. Therefore, this section or this portion of our structural floor plans needs to have a what we call a second floor framing plan. Okay, so there are other things that we need to discuss and identify in terms of terminology. So you are obviously watching this video based on this document. So we are discussing structural floors and specifically wood joist floors. And for the second floor of our project, we will use wood joists. And wood joists are basically wood members that are um, positioned usually on the shorter end. If the building is short enough, then a solid single wood joist will be used to carry the loads, the live loads and dead loads of the structure. Okay, and that would be dependent on the span. If the span is too long, there may be a beam in the middle to carry the to carry the load, and then a post will need to be put in, just like we have in our plan. So in this case, we have a post here. We have a post here because we are going to put a beam, okay, on the second floor plan, which will be seen over here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Um, and the size of those beams would have to be calculated or will be engineered structurally by our consulting engineers. There are different types of joists, as I mentioned before. They would be like the solid joist out of a piece of solid lumber. There would be some I joist, which is an engineered joist made up of a smaller section on top and the bottom, which are the flange, and then there would be a section that's a piece of solid, either a solid wood or an engineered laminate pieces of glued together wood. Okay, then you would have an open web truss made out of steel or wood. Okay, there are also hybrid joists that are made of metal in between, and the top and the bottom are just basically wood. And they do the same exact thing, except this one is has a longer span compared to a solid wood. The other benefits of this one is these are lighter. So even though it's using a metal or steel section in the middle, these are stronger compared to I-joist or open web truss. Okay, we've just discussed before. Joists are basically beams and headers, and they could be made out of solid wood or laminated lumber or laminated wood chips. Sometimes, depending on the span, a combination of I beams will be used, uh, and then wood joists or wood beams will be need to be connected to that I beam. So this one, although this is a wood frame structure, you may find um, an I beam used, and it depends on the engineer. If the engineer wants to specify this and thinks that this is a good system in terms of the location or design of the structure, then we would have to defer on his judgment on that one. Okay. Now, joists are connected to other joists, which are called beams, which are just heftier joists. Okay, so joists and beams are practically the same. And by structural standards, joists are connected to beams and other joists using a metal connector. So you before, like basically, I think it started in 1970s or 80s, but before that, you can directly nail a wood to a wood, and then they found out that nails gets pulled out um, in terms of movement, or nails typically do not last or are not stronger compared to these joist connectors. So they put in the use of these connectors as a structural standard. So if you have an I-beam, you would have to fill the space between the flanges with wood and put a rod or a bolt through them, and then put your face mount joist connector or joist hanger in order to connect your wood joist to your steel beam. Okay. Now a joist could be connected or terminated on top of a wall, so the wall is now carrying the joist and it's not hanging onto a joist, but there would still be a joist that is perpendicular to all the other joists that's carrying the floor, and this is called a rim board or a rim joist. Okay, the joist will still need to be connected to the rim board or rim joist using a metal connector or a steel connector, or a steel hanger. Yeah, but it may be carried by the wall, but still the connection has to be done with a metal connector. And then you also have these blockings or bridging in between each joist. And the purpose of this blocking is to prevent the joist from turning left or turning right. Okay, because there is a tendency for these joists, whenever it's too heavy, to sway to the left or sway to the right. And in order to prevent that from happening, a joist is a bridging or a blocking is placed in between the joists, and they're staggered so that you can nail on each end. Joist blocking or bridging does not need to have to be connected by steel or metal connector. It can just be nailed directly because its purpose is to just prevent the rolling of this joist. Okay. We basically have not discussed sheeting yet, and it's just basically the subfloor. And the subfloor is basically just the floor under the carpet, okay, or the tile or the laminate, and that's called your base floor or subfloor, and it's just a sheeting or a pieces of plywood nailed on top of each joist. So for our exercises for 10.3, we are going to create a floor framing plan, and I will show that to you, and that's going to be part of your assignment for this week. Again, you make sure that you watch the accompanying video tutorial on how to draw the second floor framing plan. Okay, so we're going to go to AutoCAD and go to our S1, and we are going to do a second floor framing plan. So make sure, I think I modified this. It says before that we're going to do a second floor wall framing plan, but we're going to do a combined thing. So make sure you change this to second floor framing plan. Um, these are the walls, and that's going to be part of it. And then we have our shear walls and our hold downs. Um, yeah, so let's begin with that one. Let's do it in model space. We're going to do a second floor, so make sure you know we change second floor. And we're going to do a layer first. We're going to make a new layer. I'm going to call that layer S floor dash frame. And then we're going to assign it a color. Oh, I already created that. Where is it? Oh, there it is. We're going to just simply delete that layer, and then we're going to use this floor frame. There you go. And let's start with this beam in the middle, because that's a hefty beam. And on that beam, We are going to go back to our schematic floor plan week 4 and see whether we assign a beam here. So it's going to look like this one. And don't see a beam that we assigned here. So we're going to define that beam. We're going to use a 16-inch deep 2.0 parallam PSL from Trust Choice. Okay, so it's going to be 16-inch deep. And the widths are going to be 3.5, 5.25, or 7-inch. So the architect would have to specify which width does he want. Each one will have a different property, and that property will depend on the strength that the engineer wants. Okay, so typically we're going to use a almost 6-inch, 5.25. So let's do that. Actually, see if I've done that. Yeah, I think we're just gonna do this. I'm gonna add that to my list here and make sure I replace that with that 6-inch. So 5.25 by 16-inch. So in AutoCAD, we're going to do a line. We're going to do a P line actually. So the reason why we're doing a P line is we can actually control the global width of P lines. So when I click here, I can control the global width, and the global width would be 5.25, so 5.25, and then that's going to be that beam. Now when you go to this beam, it's supposed to be filled in thick. So if I go to S1, you'll see that it's actually that thick. Okay. Uh, these P lines does not need to be that thick because it's just a representation on the drawing anyway. So you can make everything standard. Okay. And you can put this and change the global width to, let's say, only 2. Okay. And if you inspect it in P in your what is this S1 layout, um, that's going to be just thin, and that's fine because it's just a representation. What you're going to do next is you're going to copy and label that whatever width you want. Okay, and we're going to label that 5.25 by 16 ESL. So that's a generic way of calling it out. Okay, I'm going to center that. And usually I want this width not to be an 8, but even a smaller one, half that width, 1 over 16. Let's see if that's still readable. Oh, 16. There you go. So that's basically how small I want is half of 1/8. It should be still readable. Uh, on a paper this big, that's still readable. Um, okay. Now let's work on the beam because there's an opening here, and let's do that right now. Let's do it here. Oh, by the way, if you go into model space, you see that this P line is not being filled, and there's several things that controls this fill. Okay, you can do a fill, and if it's off, it might not fill that. So make sure it's on. We can also do a fill mode, and a fill mode must be 1, so it fills it. If it's 0, make sure it's 1. And the last thing is that we are supposed to be doing a 3D object, and if this one is not set to a 2D wireframe, which it is, because when you click on that one, you can change it to something like this. That should always be 2D wireframe, and this one should always be top. When you're drawing something on 2D, it must be top, okay? So when you click on this one and you click top, okay, it will rearrange, it will regen the drawing, and yes, it's now filled, okay? So it doesn't affect your drawing because we were supposed to be drawing something on a top view anyway. Okay, click top view. But if it's not top. If this one is not top, okay, then you may not see that filled in on your model space. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to S1 and just um, label this. Label the opening with a line. So we're just tracing over it. Actually, it already has this one. It's just gray. Maybe we can just leave it like that. Yeah, it's gray. Okay. So what we can do is we can simply put the word open on here. Okay. So I'm gonna copy a text like this, and we are going to put it here in the middle. Make sure you're um, let's put it here, and then I'm gonna move again and put it there, double click and edit it to open. And if I'm not happy where it is, I'm gonna move, but I'm gonna click from here to here. Okay. Make sure you save your work too. Okay. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in the beam that will hold this open position. So you should have a um, good understanding of how the structure or beams goes. And if you don't, then you wouldn't know that the beams, like, they don't really turn and they just rely on each other. So that means that and actually just learn all this stuff when you go to like an architecture school or an engineering school. But I'm just gonna copy this and there you go. I'm gonna copy this beam, and I'm gonna put that here on this side. Okay, so because I know that this beam, and I'm gonna hold this back a little bit, not touching the wall, just like that. Okay. In order for this opening to be created, a beam must be supported. Okay, and there's a column over here, and that's good. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a beam going here, and we're not going to stop it here and turn because beams really don't turn. We're going to have a beam going through, and actually it's anchored to this other hefty beam here. So we're going to do another P line, and we're just going to click here, and we're going to do a perpendicular line up to here. There you go. And we're going to match properties. So it match properties with this and here. Okay. Now, so what's going to happen is the structure is that this beam here that's being held by the wall. There's a column over here, and there's a column over here, and on the first floor. We don't have any columns up. Okay, it's only supporting the second floor. And so this beam, it's being supported by this other beam, and this other beam is being held by this wall, by this column, and by this connection over here. And this connection is being supported by a beam connected here, okay, all the way to this side, okay, all the way to this wall, and then there might be another beam here that I'm gonna put in later, okay. Now we have a opening here, uh, and so that means that this over here, if there's an opening on the elevation, that this should really have a column over here, okay. And that's something that the engineer would have. Hey, if you want a window all the way here, right? If you want windows all the way here, like this opening, I need a column over here or a column on this side. So that's something that the engineer would have to tell the architect. Okay. Anyway, let's do another P line to indicate that there's a beam here. So another PL from here to here, and then we're going to use match property. Okay. Now, one of the things that is done in an architectural drawing, I mean, structural drawing, is that they hold all these lines back. Okay, I'll turn my O snap. Is this the O snap? Dynamic input. I don't want to type. There you go. Here. So, oh, that's not it. These are all my O snaps. So I want to turn that off. There you go. And then, so I can hold this back, and I want it straight. Hold this back here. Okay, and I can make a connection, but we don't want to make the wall touch. Also, this one here, sometimes they hold it back. It's just a style of they hold it back, right? And then this one here, they also hold it back like that. Okay, this one too, they hold it back. All right, so those are our main beams, and we probably want another main beam here. So we're going to do a P line. And we're going to simply click from here to here, like that, and then match properties, and then click here and hold this back. Click here and hold this back, like that, and hold this back. This one too, you want to hold this back. So those are our really main beams, and those main beams. Oh, we also want something here. So we're just going to copy this one to the edge of the opening, and then hold up, and then hold this back. Okay. So there you go. Those are main beams, and those main beams are our 5/4 by 16. Okay, so that's our 5/4 by 16. Um, and this one also, I forgot this. You know what? We're gonna just hold this back, put this forward here, and do another beam here. I can move that a little bit here. So you can see I don't have my O snap on, but I have my ortho. Ortho is the one that makes it go straight, vertical, and horizontal. There you go. So those are my main beams, and I would label them my main beams by just copying this CP like this. Is that? Oh, it's on the model space, so CP on the paper space. I mean, and then put it here, right? And then I would also do and copy this one, then rotate that up, and then put that somewhere here, and just move that. Okay, these two are also my main beams. This one's also a hefty beam over here, and this one also is a hefty beam, but I'm going to copy this portion here. And the last one that I have is this one here. There you go. So those are my hefty beams, and my next one is the joists. Okay. Okay, so the next piece that we're going to do are the joist here. And if we go back to our document, the beam, we're going to use a 5 1/4 by 16. And for joist, we're going to use this from Triforce. It's going to be 16-inch deep as well, 22 feet long. And it's an OJ 418. Okay, so going back to AutoCAD. We can do them individually. So we can do a P line, and I'm gonna just hold this back. Actually, I'm gonna um, copy it from here all the way to perpendicular to here. So it's on top of there. You can't see it's on top. And I'm gonna move my last, move L, enter, click anywhere, and then drag up, make sure it's straight up. And then we're gonna space them. I'm gonna turn on my ortho, it's just straight up. And we're gonna space them 12 inches. So we're gonna put 12, enter. Okay, now where is it? I think I lost it. Oh, there it is. Oops, I did it. I'm gonna undo. I'm in paper space, so I messed up here. Okay, so undo, it back now. Let's see, still there. Let's just erase that, and then come back here and make sure you double click. I don't see it because of this one. Yeah, there you go. Double click. If this one is a triangle here, then you're in paper space, and you should be only putting text. But if you want to draw objects for your drawing, you should double click this, and you should have an XY here. Let's do another PL, and then we're gonna do an endpoint, and we're gonna do a perpendicular, and we're going to move that last one. Move enter L enter for the last enter, and then we're gonna drag it up and put in 12. There you go. And then I'm gonna hold this back a little bit, and if I click here, then uh, get the property. Just drag it up here so the properties. Oh, I don't want it to snap. Can I hold it here? I don't want it to snap on the side. There you go. The property, the global width is 0, and I want that to be half the width, 1 inch. Just enter. There you go. So it's half the width. And I know I'm going to space them out here 12 inches. So this will go in a way. So I will double click on paper space, and we're going to move this. Going to move this. So you don't want the black lines to be interrupted. Okay, there you go. That's fine. And we're going to do make multiple copies of this one. Now let's try array. Array will make multiple copies. Select that. Oh, double click again because I want to edit this object. So array, click this, press enter, and then we wanted a rectangular array. And then we can set the spacing, and the spacing is 12 feet. I mean 12 inches. Press enter. Okay. Uh, oh, this one is between columns, so I messed up. So we're gonna undo array, select this, and then we're gonna do rectangular. We're going to click in the spacing, and it's the spacing between columns. So columns are vertical, so I don't want any columns. I put in 0. Press enter, and then oh, distance between columns 27. We'll just accept that. Press enter. The distance between rows is 12 inches. Enter. Then we don't want any specific number yet because what we wanted to do is we wanna drag the triangle until it goes there, and if it's too much, then you click and you bring it down. Okay, here you go. And then we're just going to exit. So press enter. We're done. Okay, now if array is not working for you, it's too confusing, you can do copies. Just make sure that you space them out 12 inches. Oh, now if we go back to model space, we have to. Can I edit the number of items on an array? Row spacing, rows, columns. So here we don't want columns. So we put here only one. Press enter. There you go. We only want one. Okay. So go back. Okay. So this was done in an array. This is, and you can always edit an array once you've done it. You can pull this out and make more copies like that. Okay. So that's one of the benefits of array. But we do want to hold it down here until there. Okay. So that is our joist. And what we can do is we can label that, double click here, and label that, hey, that these are joists. So we're going to do a linear dimension, and we're going to click the endpoint here up to the endpoint here, this wall here, and let's pull it out. Here you go. And label this. We want it to be the same as this one. What's the layer? Yes, shear, and that's color green. This one's color yellow. Uh, and yellow is supposed to be thinner. So we have to look at, okay, let's just pull this out or pull this down like this. Typical exterior wall. Actually, this is the typical exterior wall, but let's fix the dimensions later because we can always change that like that. We actually don't need this because there's no column here, so we can actually erase this. Okay, and then this one, this is where we double click to modify, and we're gonna put in that this is just joist, so this is 16 inches deep by 22 feet, and it's just delete an OJ 418. Okay, and then click close. This is a OJ 418 again. Let me look at our thing. OJ 418. There you go. OJ 418. So we got that right. Okay, and that's basically what it's saying, that all these joists, and we could add here joist at the very beginning, so it's clear. Hard to see yellow, huh? Yeah, hard to see yellow when you. Oh, I don't want small letters. Big letters. Okay, so you're saying that all of this are an OJ418, and I need to probably clear that out and then match this like that. Okay, and then this one is your typical wall here, and go. This one, I'm just eyeballing that these are. Okay, but that's basically how. That's one way of doing it. Instead of labeling all of this one to be just like we did on the main. You do it on the main ones, but um, when you go to your joist, that's how you do it. Um, Other people would put an arrow diagonally and put in, oh, these are joist. Okay, so we're not gonna do it that way. We'll just do it this way. But I've seen other people do it that way. So double click. We're gonna continue with this joist over here. So we're gonna do a copy, and we're just gonna copy from here to here like that. Okay, and then we are actually going to explode this. So we're going to explode, this. Now they're individual because they exploded. And then we're going to draw a temporary line from here to here and do a trim. So we're trimming this and this. And let's do a fence. F for fence. So we can select objects by a fence. If you didn't learn that in what, 310? Is it 310? for your AutoCAD class, you can always select objects by trimming them with a fence. Okay, and I can just erase all these lines that I wouldn't need. Be careful because since you're drawing something with underneath, I can just do that. You just click layers, and then this drawing underneath is layer X. Is it under what layer? Layer X clip. So we're going to make sure that X clip is locked. Okay, X ref is locked. What else is locked? I think that's it. So we're just gonna lock it so it doesn't. You won't accidentally select that. And then we can erase this temporary line. There you go. Okay. If that's too far for you on this side, you can always like move it. Oh, yes, we undid this one line here. There you go. We just want to delete this. X clip. Did I undo X clip? So I just want to say X clip is locked. There you go. X clip is supposed to be locked. Okay, so I noticed that it's highlighting. Okay. And then if this is too wide, then make sure that before you trim, you can always do what I did here, but I have to fix it now. And because it's too, just want to match it. There you go. And here, I want to do an extend. I wasn't paying attention to how far they are, but it's just really a look. Extend, extend, and extend. I've been doing AutoCAD for a few years and it frustrates me when how to do a sequence is changed. And that's me. I've just been used to doing it the way I did it for about 20 something years, and it's frustrating sometimes. And let's do another line here. I'm going to trim that up now. Okay. That's something that before, when you're trimming, you have to select trimming edges first and not the line directly. So just used to doing it that way. And then we're going to move this temporary line. I'll move it somewhere here. And we're going to trim again. And we're going to erase this, that we don't need them on this side. And then we're going to erase that line. Okay. So trim again with a temporary line here, going straight. And then when I do a trim, okay, we want to select the cutting edge first, cutting edge, and then select this, press enter, and then you select these ones. So this is how trimming was done before. Then they changed it, and so that's why I normally get frustrated. Erase. There you go. So I don't need to erase any of these extra lines here because it's gone now. Okay. So I'm using the old way of trimming, which is, I think, quite good. Anyway, as I was saying, what what they have done before is do a linear, and they wanted to do like an endpoint here, not linear, but I wanted to do an aligned one. So they wanted to do an endpoint here, and then they wanted to do an endpoint here, and then just click somewhere there. There you go. And then they wanted to select and change the property and put in arrows. So where's my arrows? Arrow close field, okay, and arrow close field. There you go. And then they wanted to change the arrow size. Oh, I did it again. Erase. This is a double click outside and repeat that thing. I want to do an align. I want to do from endpoint here and to endpoint here. And I click anywhere and then select that and then change to arrow filled or close filled for both ends of the dimension. Okay. And then we want to change this. Okay. Delete that. And we want it to say 16" by 22 feet OJ41A joist. And close. Okay. And then you wanted this one to not be an 8 in text size. So we want it to be like 1/16 or somewhere in between, right? Somewhere in between. There you go. Okay. And if it's too thick for you, you can always click on it and force it to be on layer 1. So you can read it closely, click on it, and force it to be in color 1, not red 1. Now so I've seen it done this way, and we can just move it closer. So we can just always move this closer. Oh, no, I'll click on this one and move it closer. Okay, so I've seen it done this way. I've seen it done this way. The only problem with this one is that um, it's hard to read this one, and so to be able to read in between, uh, they would have to double click inside and do a break. So break from here to here, break from here to here, break from here to here, and you're not really breaking the joist. It's just that there's a text there, and you want that text to be clearly read. Yeah, that's it. So I've seen it done this way. I've seen it done that way. Uh, let's practice both on your end. I'm gonna speed up my drawing and show you what this one looks. You're gonna have framing here, and there's also framing here. Okay. Uh, there might be a hefty beam here or here and there, because there is a column here which we actually forgot to put a footing plan on. Okay, so just double click and it's supposed to be a column here, so we're just going to copy and we're going to copy that from, let's just do an endpoint, from this endpoint all the way to here. So yeah, there was a column there. And then we actually don't have detail of that column yet, but let's address that on our final drawing. So here we do have maybe a hefty beam going like this. Okay, and so we're going to do a TL from here to here and a hefty beam from here to here. Okay, and this one doesn't need to be a hefty beam, but let's just try to connect that joist here. We can make the joist go this way, and that's fine. But we want to match property this one with this one and this one. Okay, and the corners you can connect, or you can, since we're putting a gap on, just make it look like this, or let's just try to change the direction. There you go. And then we want to hold this back, okay? And then we're going to label that. I'm gonna move this here. paper space. So PS, this one's interfering with the joist. So I'm going to move it here. I'm going to copy that here. And we're going to copy this here. And do an RO. So this one goes this way. And that's okay because the drawing underneath is gray, right? When you do a preview. Okay, that's supposed to be gray anyway. Oh, there's a dark one. What is this? Ah, that's the edge of the floor. Okay, so let me see if there's an actual drawing there. This one is not gray, so I have to look at this. Why is it not gray? It might be that the color is by layer, so we're going to just simply X clip. What color is this again? We assign the layer, and the layer for our XREFs, base XREF, layer X clip. Okay, so all our X clip is supposed to be 253, but when we click on our XREF layers, there are some that are not following that layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this one and make sure that the color itself is set to 253. Oh, it's locked. Unlock your X clip. There you go. Now select your XREF and make sure that this color is 253. There you go. And then let's save our work. Go back to S1 and let's see whether that worked. Hmm. This color, there's an object here that's supposed to be gray, but it's not. We have to fix that. Okay. Uh, I'll get back to you and figure out what's wrong with this drawing, but I'll show you how this one is, how the joists are done, and then it's going to be you doing it by yourself. Okay. Okay, so here's the finished, well, not really finished, layout of our framing plan. Open here, so don't forget that the elevator pit is also open as well. And you can draw the line and change that to 253. So it's just gray. Okay. If it doesn't have one, too. Um, some of the walls are not going to go through all the way up. So you can have something like this, a joist that goes over the wall, and that's fine too. One of the things that we forgot to put in is the spacing of these joists. Okay, so we space them out 12 inches, but we didn't call them out. So we need to edit the spacing or the notes here and call it out as at 12 inches. Oh, you have to put it on the end at 12 inches. O period C period. Okay, and simply click outside or click OK here. Okay, and then adjust again by using a break BR. Oh, paper space. It's supposed to be inside paper space, and then BR. That was a MS move command to enter or double click. There you go. Okay, it's also here. We'll do BR. And then if you look at here, I changed the direction here. And you can do that. Uh, Change the direction of the joist because joist is supposed to span the shorter length, and this is shorter than this one, so I didn't span it this way. And you change the direction because it's shorter, and you can also change the actual member. Okay, it's not going to be a 16 by 22 now. Uh, so you can just put a you can just put an arrow, or you can put let's see, let's do this here. Let's do paper space, and we're gonna copy this, and then we are going to put an arrow. Control F8. Yeah, put an arrow here. Okay, and then label that 2 by 12 at 12 inches on center. So, okay, and I'm putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. So I'm going to put 8, 2 by 12 on center. Okay, and then I could adjust the spacing here. There we go. And then also adjust the spacing here. There we go. Right, so this one says it tells us that this bay has only 8 2 by 12s at 12 inches on center. Okay, I can also do the same thing here. I'm just going to copy this, then fade, and then point to this one, and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's going to be 8 again. So delete 8 2 by 12 at 12 inches on center. There you go. And then this one here, if it's the same joist, then you call it out to actually it's from here. So we're just gonna do it the way we did here. We didn't also call out the spacing here, so I'm gonna add the spacing here at the end. At 12 inches OC. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing here. We're going to do a linear linear dimension from here to here. Pull it out, and we're gonna do a match property. So the texture is a little bit small, and then double click that, and then type in what did we put in? Double click, and then triple click and Control C. Okay, and then double click, and then triple delete first, and then Control V. There you go. 12 inches in center. And then just bring that closer. Okay, and there's an open section here. Okay, great. Same thing here. I changed the direction, and I wanted to do 2 by 12s at all 12 inches on center. So let's change this. Move that a little bit from here. This one we'll have to move because there's a hole down is there. And then we'll remove that. Okay. And then let's bring this down. And then copy this and pull this out and point to this one here. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to do like 10, 2 by 12 at 12 inches on center. There you go. And then these Uh, what's the best way to do this? There's just too much of information in structural. That's why sometimes their texts are a little bit smaller. So let's just do it the way that this one is done. From here, here, and pull that out over there and match property this and that. Okay, I think that's good. Then this uh, double click here, triple click, Control C, and then double click here, delete, and then Control V, and then click the location, and then just move it, and then I want to clear that. So this, move this, let's see if I can insert a. If I can insert, no. Yeah, just leave it like that. So that's the stairs. We don't need to make it open because it's not really not open. There's a stairs there. We don't need to do that right now. And I think that's good. And the only pieces is that we need to specify that there's also a HD3 here. So let me match property this and this one, and this one and that one. HD5, and then copy this. Put that there because that's a window. We have a header, and we have the same thing here. We have this one, and we have this one too. This one here. Okay, so there's a header there. I might need to pull that down here just so it clears the other text. There you go. And then there's something wrong with our base plan. Let's go ahead and fix that. I'll just save this first. And I have something wrong with my base plan, and this is called base rev 2. So I'm going to just do an open, and we're going to do an open base rev second rev 2. Oh, it's already here. I already opened it. Base second rev 2, and it doesn't show me there's a window, so there is supposed to be a window all the way here. So what's wrong with this picture? Hmm. This is the second. Oh, this is the yeah, this is the second floor. On the first floor, it's supposed to be like this. So where is this fill? There you go. Now fill, and then we're supposed to have a window all the way across like this. So let's do our first floor too. We're gonna just open our first floor, and we want to copy this or clipboard copy, and go to the second floor, and then right click clipboard paste. And we're gonna erase this, and we're gonna erase this too. Something there, and move this to this one. Okay, and then save that. We don't want to save this, so we just close this because you just copied it. No, then go back here, and then we need to reload. So click this and accept reload. There you go. It's fixed now. Okay. This one I'm not happy because it's too far from the thing, so I'm gonna simply do and change the location of this call out here. Control F3 to remove the snap, and go. And then move this closer to here, and maybe change this. Put it down here. All right. So I think we've handled that. There's a header here, big header here. We didn't put any windows here and no windows here. Is there a window on the second floor? On here, so let me check. That's for the first floor. We don't have any windows on that second floor, so we're good. And I think that wraps it up. We just have to add some notes here about the floor framing. So there, 3, 5, 7, 8. All right, so there's a lot more information that needs to be put here, including like connections and um, blocking. And the engineer is putting all those information because he is telling the contractor how to build this thing solid and sound. And if the information not correct, then the contractor will have to clarify that. Okay. So we're gonna do most of the clarification here on the our notes. So let's move most of these up here, and then we're going to copy again this shorter thing here, including the line. And we're going to double click and change this to um, floor framing notes. Okay, floor framing notes. We have a slab grid on file. We have a typical exterior wall notes, and so we're gonna put a floor framing notes here. And one of the framing notes is number one. Okay, install a blocking uh, at 12 feet spans and uh, if less than 12 feet span, comma, install blocking uh, mid span. There you go. Okay, install blocking, and then you can put in use same um, joist uh, size. So if it's a I joist or a web joist, they have to use the same joist. If it's a 2 by 12, they have to use the same 2 by 12. Okay. For number two, sheeting. So yeah, we need to also provide sheeting. Sheeting for floors shall be 3/4 inch. Okay. And if you don't want that 3/4, press delete 3/4, and then see this little thing. You can click on that one, and you want to unstack it. Okay. and then 3/4 inch on stack. There you go. 3/4 inch thick uh, plywood sheeting. Okay, or you can put in subfloor. Okay, um, and then double click and put a space, press escape. Okay, and those are the two about blocking and sheeting. Okay, uh, now we don't need to put it in here, but we have to maybe specify uh, sheeting to be perpendicular to joist. Okay, and what do you mean by perpendicular to joist? Perpendicular to joist. Just wanted to just do an image search of when they install plywood over joist. They always install it where the direction is always perpendicular to the joist. Okay, so if the joist or roof material uh, is spaced like this, then the direction of the plywood is always perpendicular. So that's what we mean by that one. That's always how it's done, but you know, um, those are standard. But to be clear, you wanted the sheeting to be perpendicular to joist. Okay, and then connectors. You would just say, and some engineers would actually draw the detail of that connector. Okay, you would say joist connector per uh, MFR truss joist manufacturer uh, standard. Just do it that way. So what you're doing here is you are saying that the manufacturer of the joist, which is I think truss joist or something, okay, they would actually have details on their website or on their brochure of what connector you should be using. So to achieve this load of 100 PSF, they would have that one. Okay. Um, Now you sometimes some engineers would do it this way. Some engineers would want to call it out because they don't want the contractor to be in charge of the actual uh, process of looking up what is the joist connector. Okay. We'll leave it like that, but you can certainly detail it out. Okay, and I believe that's it. Yeah. Okay. So this is now your S2 or still S1, uh, and we started with a framing, wall framing and foundation, and here we have a second floor framing plan, which is the floor and the wall. Okay, floor and the wall. Let's just clear this out of the space. You don't want to. There you go. Typical. Oh, misspelled that. TIP. Typical exterior wall. There you go. You just have to do a viewport and just the other layer. Oh, okay. I think I'm gonna click all so that I can pull this down and turn off my viewport layer. Okay. So you would have to uh, detail some of this. So you would have to like um, call out some details like this one. If you wanted to show what that connector looks like, then that one has to be detailed. Okay, so let's say you wanted to show how this um, attachment of the joist to this wall looks like. You would do that. Okay, well, then we have to move this and put it somewhere where it's not interfering with that one, and then assign a number. Uh, so if it's number three, number two, then you have to add that detail. How is this connection here? How is this connection here? You do have to call that out. Okay. So as we go on and do more details, that's basically what we're going to call out. So we might go back to this sheet. Not done with this one, but certainly we're done with the framing, and then all we have to do is the detail. Okay. Uh, so do this exercise for our module this week. This is going to be part of your assignment. Okay.